The Lost Cryptids Conservatory, where we will shatter your reality to bring you closer to the truth.
All right, guys, welcome to another live show. It's nice to see you guys again, and let me work on that real quick. Seem to have some reverb. All right. I think that sounds probably better. All right, so today's show, we're going to talk about a few things, show a few things, talk about some more medieval paintings and show some stuff. We're going to talk about how Sasquatch and Bigfoot live in close proximity to towns, cities, and of course backyards, very close to human occupation in areas where people don't think they would actually be at. So we're going to talk about that and show a little bit of example. And also got a little video of a hoax, and just a little part of why I think it's just a hoax. I mean, just basically a sliver of the actual video, but this particular movement of this hoaxed Bigfoot convinces me that it's human. So we're going to show that here a little bit later. But we're going to get started by showing some pictures of some of these woodwose and other European folklore characters. So these are different pictures than last time. So as you can see here, here's a white hairy person. Very interesting, chasing a rabbit. Of course, this is a form of decoration on paintings and sometimes on churches and other medieval stuff. So the interesting part about this one is, I believe this was in Portugal, and this is depicting a wild man who has adopted Christianity and actually fought with a particular house. Is bearing the crest on the shield, and is adorned with a big cat that it obviously killed. And so this figure at that time period, this painting is about, I believe, the 14 or 1500s, but it's depicting a person who has risen in class and stature, and given its own portrait, seemingly putting these wild men pretty advanced intelligence if they're able to communicate and gain class and renown and actually operate and become a warrior in that society. They obviously were speaking European, whatever country, because they're all sorts of countries and different languages, and yet these wild people are seemingly able to communicate with the particular people they are around. So this is a well-known example of one in Portugal. Here's one of Portugal and Spain. Again, it's got the big cat on it. Of course, has its mace or club, as they were the preferred weapon of these creatures. The shield and the insignia, is a representation of its class and its house that it belonged to, the royal family or noble or wherever it pledged its allegiance to. And they find a lot of this stuff. You can find them on paint, church windows and church carvings and stone and old churches, old paintings, in books, depicting these wild men as warriors and servants of the kingdom or nobles or whoever they were indebted to or pledged allegiance to. You have a lot of stories going back of these things fighting in the Crusades or fighting in wars. But they definitely did have something going on. I mean, these aren't regular humans; these are hairy men. But they're donning weapons and able to fight in medieval combat. But also, again, have the intellect and intelligence to actually communicate and become a warrior with class that actually gets painted and drawing and talked about. So here's the different color ones where you have red, and darker like blue. But I always found this one interesting because of the red. They had red colors. You have white and red and brown. Different ones we had and grayish. As people, very people-like, but just hairy. And a lot of this stuff is from 13th, 14th, 15th century paintings and earlier. And you have a lot of old religious archetypes of characters of the woods, wild men, different Slavic and different pagan, I guess is what you would refer it as, but these older religions, Germanic religions, Celtic religions, Gallic, Slavic, I mean, a whole host of mythologies and characters, but they did have similar wild men of the forest, and this was a particular one where I just forgot the name. It starts with S, but anyways, it's an old wild man who lumbers through the forest and sometimes plays tricks on people, leads people to astray, eats people, causes them to get lost. You have different representations of these different creatures in different paintings and illustrations where they're not typically the woodwose, but they're another hairy man type creature who would attack people and lead them astray. Of course, a hairy creature wandering the woods. And so you did have a lot of this, a lot of these different cultures experiencing wild men type archetypes or culture or characters in the woods in their legends as real creatures, not actual myths and legends, but real creatures that were around. So we'll show some more again. We'll show the ones we previously showed on the other episode talking about this. Uh, Again, these creatures usually had clubs. Here's another famous one. Uh, and this is depicting a very great illustration of a Sasquatch. It kind of reminds me of Harry and the Hendersons a little bit. But as you can see, there's actually the knight's comrades are laying on the ground, defeated by the creature, as this one is making its last stand in the forest. Definitely depicting a Sasquatch creature. Definitely, I would say, that's probably 8-9 foot tall. That creature is. It's very interesting. So we'll show some more here. And these creatures were said to, kidnap people, and they would eat people, and they would live in caves, and of course, they would be warfare, but they would also be in servitude or join kingdoms and take up arms for those particular nobles, kings, or hierarchy to be able to live and have freedom, of course, for their families. But they would kidnap people, kidnap the females, and of course, this would lead to a conflict and war, which is very similar to the stories we hear of Native Americans, where they, traded with these things, they communicated with these things, but some of these creatures would kidnap and take the women and take the children, and this led to conflict, of course. And then, so we have good representation of that here, documented, and also showing very similar stuff from across the Atlantic Ocean and 2 different continents. So of course, these things are wild. Of course, they have a habit of taking people, and it is documented. So that's why you always have to be on guard and careful and not take this too lightly, because unfortunately, as it is, these are not your friendly forest giants. These are in fact wild people who have a well-known habit of taking people or taking things that is not theirs. Maybe the perception is they can take what they want. Maybe they feel like it belongs to everyone, So you had a lot of this representation going on in medieval art and medieval literature, and pictures and stuff represented. And the natives, of course, have their own legends of these things. So I thought it was interesting to show these a little bit more detailed illustrations of these woodwose, these wild men of the woods of European lore, dressed up in a pose for painting, showing the house that they represented. And it's just fascinating that these creatures are more intellectual and in society. It's not a crazy monster out there that's eating people. It's actually a creature that is able to communicate and raise to multiple classes in European society to be able to be regarded as a good warrior and have its own portrait done, dressed up nicely. That's a pretty stoic pose and stuff. That's not a commoner. It's not a slave. That's not a true monster of the woods. That's a individual who can communicate and take orders and rise in that society. So just begs the question of what are those things? What are Sasquatch the same things as this? Are they different species? Being, of course, in Europe and then in North America. But just begs the question of is this a Neanderthal relic hominid that survived in Europe. I mean, it just begs the question of exactly what's going on. Unfortunately, we don't know what's going on, and there could be a number of theories and opinions made on this. Of course, I am giving my own, but I definitely think that it is probably highly similar. Uh, I mean, the characteristics and depictions are very, very similar to Sasquatch, so I tend to lean towards them being related or the same species. They just seemed more. Uh, it just seems more depicted in a different way than Native Americans. Native Americans depict them as capable of speaking and stuff, of course, and actually uh, would marry and stuff. Natives actually marry natives. The chiefs would actually give, or people would give their daughters to marry a Sasquatch. There's actually uh, reports of Native Americans down in the Southwest giving multiple women of the tribe to a 5 foot tall Sasquatch who would never grow more than 5 foot, but had killed several braves and men and would lay claim to the land. So the natives had to give tribute, which would be wives to him, and sometimes he would kill by accident or by choice, and they would have to give him more women. So they're definitely not depicted as the always the nicest by the Native Americans, and definitely not integrating into society compared to like those woodwose in the painting. So it's basically where I'm getting at. A lot more different conflict here in Native American history than the European depiction of those woodwose. All right, so we're going to get to talk a little bit about some hoaxes, I guess, because there's a lot of it going on. A lot of it keeps popping up and happening, and there's a lot of older videos that show that new people just don't understand are hoaxes. And so we're going to show this particular clip. This is, I believe that it's called Giant Bigfoot of the Sequoias or something. So basically a red Bigfoot that runs around. You get some pretty good shots of it, of course, and then it finally chases the two people and they run away. This is a very small clip of this, and basically it is of. We'll watch and I'll talk about it a couple times here. So let's play that again real quick, and then hopefully you guys spotted what was actually going on and the reason why I think this is a fake clip. When it falls on its butt like that, it jumps over a little limb and falls on its butt. That's definitely not a Sasquatch. I mean, that's pretty. A Sasquatch is not going to be falling on its butt if it's going to charge something. That's very human characteristic. Even the way it fell, it just screams a person in the costume. And this is That's the real reason why I don't think it's real. It performs so clumsy and flimsy of an action that it's just not Sasquatch. Sasquatch is not going to trip and fall and slide on his butt down a hill chasing people on camera. It's just a guy in a costume. He can't even get his balance, can't see right. And he falls on his butt just like a human would. And of course, the cameraman, shakes the camera at that same time because he doesn't want to capture the person in the costume falling down on his butt. And they got a few clips of it. Running away and stuff. Like, I think anyone who's actually getting real video of Sasquatch actually in the moment. All right. Having some difficulties. It keeps kicking me out, and I had to restart this a couple of times before getting on here. Maybe StreamYard's having some issues on their end. I don't think it's my setup. It might be. I don't know. Anyways, in that clip, of course, it's a human. I don't know. If someone's getting an actual clip of Bigfoot and it's like running away from them, I think they would get pretty, panicked and adrenaline rushed and stuff. And to get so many good shots like that, and then for it to chase you, to fall on its butt, no, that's not. It's a person. Plus, Sasquatch, if it is chasing you like that, it out in the open, it might actually want to get you, or at least scare you off the land. But usually, on camera, no one's got one on camera doing that, so they typically avoid the camera. They kind of seemingly know that it's something that it's doing something, and it's very important to humans because they see it with humans all the time, usually in the forest, because a lot of hikers have cameras, bird watchers, animal watchers. Typically, even people with phones, they like to take pictures. So they are understanding that it's doing something. It is important, and it is something to do with us being able to line it up with our eyes to see and whatever we're doing. So they know that we are using the camera to do something to whatever we are visually seeing. So they might not know what it's a camera and all this, but they understand that we're using on something that we have to see. So if they don't see, we can't see them, the camera doesn't work, or whatever thing isn't working as good. Because I'm sure they see people line up the shots and get closer and trying to fiddle with their cameras and all that. And so I'm sure they can recognize that it's something that's visually needed. But anyways, we're going to talk about the main topic for tonight's show. Yeah, Phil, I seen that last night. I think Carrie said he was able to clear up for the documentary what I caught. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I'm glad he was working on that and show it in light a lot better. I definitely think if you got it professionally done, it's definitely going to be good looking. I can't wait to see it again and see it on the documentary and see what you guys think about it. It was very interesting, and I think it's the real deal, unless it's can be enhanced and shown to be something else. But it definitely wasn't a known characteristic of a pig to come up to a group of people that was talking, and some were actually yelling and trying to communicate between the group that was split off about 50 yards. Come right up next to us and then bulldoze its way towards the other group, and not really make too many sounds. I would think a lone pig, especially, would run away from human activity, and if it did come close, it would make more noises, snuts and growls, and actually maybe charge one of us in the brush, actually, and make more indications of what it was than actually very silently. And of course, what I seen personally, the camera is not going to do it justice. I seen so much detail in the head movement, and kind of freaked me out. I actually hear kind of my panic on video because I am freaked out, and seeing is believing on this spider crawl aspect, and it kind of looks like a big cat crawling on the ground is what it kind of reminds me of very much. And when the thing went into the cacto weeds of the high grass, it went pretty quiet. Within 15, 20 feet, I couldn't hear it no more. But I was right there, and I was trying to watch and look for it. So that was in Florida. And we got some good stuff in Florida. I was just reviewing some of the stuff that I've got that should be in the documentary. Of course, Carrie has everything. We're talking about red eye shine. Got one that's it's pretty good little video that I shot. It wasn't that same night, and it was in a different location, but it's pretty good evidence that shows red eye glow. I'd actually move the IR light off of it to see if it's glowing if it's eye shine or if it's glowing. It appears to be glowing. So I don't think carries that far. It's not same, not night 2 and all that. It's towards the end. So, but there's a lot of great stuff, and there's a lot of great stuff that is actually caught and happening from the lost cryptids and all the other people too. A lot of people got a lot of great stuff of evidence and orbs, I believe, and some good stuff that will be in the film. So we definitely pushed the envelope when we were down there and tried to go deeper and farther than anyone else, and it definitely paid off. But they definitely were at camp. You didn't have to really go far to have. We found a footprint that was right there at camp. So, and we had people having activity and seeing stuff. Very reliable people at camp seeing stuff on night vision. We had tracks and got hair, and all this was right by camp. They kept coming into camp, and we set up some baiting gifting spots, and we collected hair and eDNA, very close to camp, so you didn't have to go very far. But when we did go very far to some of these spots, they were there too, and we had a number of experiences, strange and the woo, I guess. I don't know if it's all Bigfoot, but it's definitely all in the same area as Bigfoot, so it's very interesting. So yes, can't wait till that documentary comes out, and then we'll be releasing all the evidence from the lost cryptids that I filmed, and be talking about it, showing on here a little bit more, doing a little bit more enhancements and stuff. Just waiting on him to drop that, because I don't want to spoil it too much for you guys. But if it's stuff he's talked about and we've talked about on his show, then I talk about it, which is, my experience and some other stuff. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I actually was going through a lot of stuff that's going to be dropped here of a lot of interesting evidence that we got. And all it is just a video of evidence that we've got, which is just clips of video of audio we're getting, of interactions we're getting, something thrown at us. Eye shine, eye glow, or it's eye shine, I guess. It's hard to say, because eye shine is when the eyes are reflecting off light, and glow is self-illuminated. But we have an evidence that it appears to be eye glow and eye shine, because we have IR lights on it. And the other clip, I don't have the IR light on it. But like I said, we got a clip from Florida. Very interesting. I think you guys are gonna like. But anyways, all these clips are going to be put together pretty raw. The audio is going to be boosted in some sections, and it's going to be like all the stuff that we kind of got to show for evidence for Bigfoot and other weird stuff. Because Bigfoot evidence is not Bigfoot proof. It hopefully could add to the equation to make big proof, but evidence for Bigfoot is not proof of Bigfoot. So we got evidence that is fairly good, not good enough to prove Bigfoot, but definitely in the right direction. And hopefully by collecting all this stuff and showing you guys can see that you can see what we get and what we do, really. And it's not that hard. It's not that unique of what we actually do. Just mainly being out there is the biggest step. It's being out there, and personally, everyone has their own way of doing this. Even in a group, when you try to lay down some rules and say, hey, let's try to do this and this, and everyone be quiet. In the excitement of things, and how's everyone's perception and mindset at night, and doing this, everyone's different, and sometimes you forget about the guidelines of what we're trying to you want to try to do, and everyone gets excited, and not everyone's the most quiet as when you're getting howls and activity. But you can definitely see and hear things that we're trying to get on video and audio, because we're just basically average people, and so we get excited by what's going on, and some of us get scared, some of us we're just trying our best to get evidence and show you guys. So I'm gonna have a nice video of that. I'll probably have a part 2 and stuff after like the 168 comes out, so I can show some of the Florida stuff in it, evidence wise. Then the Michigan Upper Peninsula expedition. I'm waiting on Jason Kenzie to drop his Searching for Sasquatch documentary number 3, because that has some stuff going to be in his documentary that I don't want to spoil for you guys and for him. It's of our encounter, and gonna have full audio of that encounter. We got a number of great calls and a great evidence caught by Robert Kreider's a great equipment from Kreider Expeditions. He makes his own equipment, has his own. The dude's amazing. He does treasure hunting, ancient lost treasures, ancient technology. A whole host of awesome stuff that I'm into, and I would recommend, because the man knows his stuff. when it comes to Sasquatch, he definitely knows what's going on. And we shown he was able to point out similarities that he finds in the woods of Michigan and where he's at in New Mexico, and very similar characteristics of displayed of the Sasquatch, of how they play these little tricks and they do these little tests and grunting and tree snaps a certain way, and the way they interact with people in a group, very similar that he's finding. So a shout out to him, because a lot of stuff was cut on his equipment. A lot of stuff was got a lot of stuff on a few different audio recorders actually, and he had a parabolic mic out there, great night vision, these mini cameras that actually got eye shine, an eyeball that opens up and looks at us and closes and actually comes back and opens its eyeball again for another couple of minute segment. Right next to camp, right at camp, we actually seen it. Jason Kenzie seen it on his phone because he was viewing it off the Wi-Fi, and of course we recorded it. And they're very brash about not worrying about us seeing them or knowing that we've seen them, because I know people were pointing, and people definitely even walked out to the spot, and so they definitely understood that we were seeing them, talking about them, and we were there for them. I mean, the jig was up. It's no, we were out there trying to look for Sasquatch, doing calls, and we did have great interaction, and they let me and Jason Kenzie see them at nighttime, probably as best as you can without getting super close and seeing them, their faces. I mean, having a conversation with them. But again, I think that situation, it comes down to them. They're very open, I would say, but also, they observed us. They observed the group. They made the choice to test and see what we would do when they howled on this side and all this. And of course, we are very excited. Every time there's a howl and stuff, I know there's people are very excited, and I was all excited and thinking, man, this is awesome. And maybe that helps. That you're ecstatic about getting this kind of activity from them, or this not aggressive encounter, and that's more curious and more a friendly approach that maybe could be more accepted by some groups. But they also chose to show themselves, which is very, very odd and very mysterious motive, other than they I've been thinking and theorizing about it ever since it happened. And it's just, for whatever reason, they decided to, and they didn't talk and say nothing. So I don't know what they were exactly thinking, but it seems like they choose to interact with certain individuals or certain groups based upon what they observe from said groups or individuals. And so they showed themselves. I don't know. I guess they like the beard. That's what it was. They like the beard and long hair. And so, they showed themselves. But, I also thought that could have been a very bad situation. I know we're getting way off topic, but in a situation like that where you're distracted and they're showing themselves, and there was one behind us, one behind you could easily come up to you and take you out while you're so in awe and distracted and of these things in front of you. There was one behind us, and Jason seen it, and it turned around, went on all fours, very low to the ground, and moved out of the way off the trail. So it could be, just because it was perceived to be a very good situation, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was the opposite. Maybe they were testing to see how vulnerable we were. I don't think so. Their actions, and of course, never dictated any aggression. But in that situation, it's not hard for one or two to sneak up and get you when you're distracted by two that are letting you watch them. I wouldn't trust these things. I have a great deal of respect for the danger and what they possibly could be if they are super intelligent. But I think respect goes a long way in the woods, and respecting the forest too. Not littering, not leaving trash, not trying to destroy the forest for no good reason. I think that plays a role. I was reviewing footage today, actually, and one of the mornings I woke up and I had a huge yellow dot right here, or yellow stain. And I got reminded of that because my girlfriend got some egg drop soup and got a little bit on her hand. It was kind of the same stain. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I remember I filmed a little bit of it because I noticed it. And I was out in the woods walking around, and so I shot a little bit of it. And I remembered that I did film it, so went on the Scout and looked at it and seen it. And yeah, it's kind of a yellow stain. I'm not sure where I got it up there, but I woke up and it was on my hand one day out there. I'm just putting it out there. I have no idea. I just find it odd. Yeah, it is good that they showed no signs of aggression and were very curious. They're very standoffish. They didn't, yeah, I mean, they were very curious, and they did, we had one individual that kept grunting a certain way. And you could tell it was him around because it kind of sounded very similar every single time. And he's out in the swamp, or he's surrounding us, and they did come up to camp. Came up to Jason's hammock when he was sleeping in it, and kind of, I think, huffed at him or something and walked away. But after a few steps, you couldn't hear it. And he thought it was another person, but it wasn't. I think as soon as we got there, we were actually in the woods. Definitely by the second day, we had stuff going on, and we found footprints. And when we moved the camp towards the second location, it's such a close distance for Sasquatch that it's not that far away for them to perceivably to have scouted us out at both locations. To them, it's nothing really, and that's why we're going to get into the main topic. 44 minutes after, and that's talking about Sasquatches living close to people, and they do. I know if a lot of people find it hard to believe, but here in Michigan, I can attest to from my own experience and what I've seen of different data that I've collected, and my friend Val has, that these things are very close to human habitation, cities, and properties. Michigan is not some remote wilderness mountain range like the Pacific Northwest. This is farmland mostly, especially southern Michigan is farmland. and dotted with city. And you have about 9 million, about 10 million people here in Michigan. And most of that is condensed in big cities, Detroit, Metro Detroit area, and surrounding suburbs and little towns. Capital, Lansing, and some of these other Grand Rapids and bigger cities. But most of the population is in these big suburb areas surrounding these big cities. But yet there's still Sasquatch reports. And Sasquatch is reported in Detroit itself, and actually on Belle Isle. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but supposedly Sasquatch swims to Belle Isle and could and reach some of these other places off of the lakes. And so there's an old story of actually a lot of stories of Sasquatch around the Detroit area and the Detroit River system back before the white people came here, and when they did. There's Sasquatch within these lands and areas, and so Sasquatch seem to have a habit to going back to these places where they have generational ties of living or whatever reason. But these lands that they've been to and have been to, they typically try to go back to. And now we have cities there. But at nighttime, once 10 p.m. hits, get in bed and you're watching TV. You're watching, your late night TV shows and your podcasts. It's time for Sasquatch to roam around. And it roams around Michigan and across the farmlands with ease. Yes, Sasquatch can swim, definitely. They are very excellent swimmers, actually. So they actually can, from Detroit and Lake St. Clair, they can probably swim, and there actually are reports. They're swimming from Canada, from Harson's Island, Canada, over to Lake Belle Isle and over to Detroit, because that was historically what they did. There's a old French military report, and I'm not going to get into that story because we're trying to talk about other stuff. But the gist of it is that these tribe of Sasquatch swam all the way down from northern Michigan, and seemingly had conflict with the white settlers, and they chased them to Belle Isle, to across Lake St. Clair, to Harrison Island, Harrison, whatever, and they disappeared. They couldn't find them. So you have a direct case of them actually in that area and swimming across this lake. And in modern times, at nighttime, certain individuals might still swim across this lake and hit up Belle Isle, the little metro park, and subsequently go down this river system, scavenging, really. We don't know what they're doing other than seemingly scavenging and being in land that they previously occupied, and maybe have some, if they are more intelligent, maybe cultural ties to. But that would be a more extreme intelligence, which I think they have. Anyways, getting out of Detroit and stuff, most of Michigan is farmland. We're going to show you an example here. Give me a minute. Switch over. And after you guys have seen the new Bigfoot crossing the river in Michigan video. A lot of breakdowns have been made. Thinker Thunker has a good video showing what he thinks is a female or individual with a baby. But all that's good, but it crosses the river, the Cass River, here in Michigan. And this is in the Thumb area, and I have heard a lot of comments of of them saying that Sasquatch can't be there because that area doesn't look good. Doesn't look like good habitation for them. And it's just not true. We have multiple sightings in the area, and the landscape around that area is no different from all across Michigan. And I'm going to show you how they easily traverse uh, the landscape. All right. So I'm going to switch out of this. So yeah, for those who don't know, it's the I think it's just called the Cast Bigfoot or Bigfoot crossing the Cast River in Michigan. And it's fairly recent video. Thinker Thunker's been doing a couple videos on it. It was I can't remember who put it out. Someone, it got sent to another research. It was the Rocky Mountains. It was a Bigfoot research organization, or it got sent to them. They put it out, and then it made its way around the community. A lot of people are mixed views on it. Some people think it's a fisherman with waders. Some people think it's a Bigfoot. And so I gotta load the video. Gotta load this. I'm not gonna play the video clip on here. For those who want to watch it, you go to Thinker Thunker. You got some breakdowns of it. Oh, I guess I didn't load up these pictures yet. Give me a minute on that. Just have to grab them off Facebook real quick. But basically, I'm going to show the landscape, or basically the general area. I know people have found the exact spot, but I did not mark the exact spot for this video. Because I know the whole area and the river system in and of itself is a good habitation zone. And, you know, hopefully if after viewing some of these pictures that I'm going to show you guys, it's basically farmland and butted up to some, you know, wilderness. But it's not like super wilderness or anything. It's just chunks of woods, and that's what we have. But Sasquatch is able to thrive here in Michigan because of a number of different reasons. Mainly because of the farmland and the crops that we grow and the abundant food resources that comes with that farmland. So yeah. You got the crops available. All right, so let me load up some of these pictures. I don't know if they're going to be in order, but so here's a basic little picture of the Cass River in this little wilderness spot. And so this is not the spot where that Sasquatch was filmed. This is a different spot on the river, but I wanted to show that the general area can host Sasquatch. So we're going to actually show you guys two different sightings that I've marked from this area. Now the one at the bottom is closer to the Cass River system, which I showed you, which is this river that goes through this big chunk of woods right here. Now all these, you can see all these little towns and are dotted across this huge farming belt, and all these squares are different fields and farms. We got another sighting up there that's actually on the edge of the shoreline of Lake Huron. And so the Cass River video would be shot up towards the left of this picture screen. And so this huge area of wilderness right here is prime habitat. There's a lot of sightings in here. But I'm going to show you how the Sasquatch traverse the landscape from these two sighting spots. And these are two different sightings by two different people, 2 different years apart. And I'm going to show you that Sasquatch can get from one spot to the other very easily, and it's not hard. And you can use this by me showing you this. This is how Sasquatch move in Michigan. This is what they are doing. This is how they are leaving the areas and going to areas. So I got a couple more video or pictures to load up. And basically, Sasquatch is traversing the landscape, these farm fields, at night with 0 issues, and they're able to cross and go pretty substantial distances. I mean, how far do you think a Sasquatch can travel at nighttime? Okay, you're talking from this, I would say, maybe that's maybe 15 miles or so, maybe more. Think a Sasquatch could do that at nighttime during the night? Heck yeah. 15 miles to get from that sighting to that spot. That's a 1-night travel easily. Yeah, these weren't they weren't loaded up in order like I put them, but that's okay. Either I'll figure it out or we'll just wing it. Yes, they travel very fast, but how far can they travel nonstop? When they're really moving. All right, I think that's about it. So here's a closer view of the wilderness spot towards the bottom, going up, and you have all these patches of farmer's field, but you have these little green islands, which are chunks of woods. These are private woods, and basically Sasquatch is going to be bouncing around towards these islands of woods until it gets to the lake. And you can easily bounce around these farmer fields, and let's just say they didn't travel all the way to the destination of said here. They're going to camp out and find a spot in the middle of these farmer fields on these private properties that is not used that much. If they're in these areas and they're occupying and they're observing the humans seasonally, they're going to find which chunks of woods in the middle of these farmlands is safe and is best for them to camp out during the day if needed, or to hang around if things happen. They're not going to want they're not going to want these chunks of woods that is private, that people are always in and occupying. They're going to want the chunks of woods that are only used once a year for hunting. That's a very small time frame where humans are actually in the woods. If a piece of property that's only used for hunting once a year, you got 11 other months that Sasquatch can operate, hide in, and occupy. And if you're talking about a person who only gun hunts on these private properties, you're talking about a 2-week period that he's actually hunting deer with a gun. You can small game and hunt for a couple months, but deer, you only got a 2-week window. So if one of these guys is only hunting for 2 weeks on his property, and the rest of the year he's not on that property, maybe sporadically, Sasquatch are going to observe that, and they're going to be able to determine if that's a safe place to spend a day or two. They only need to spend a day away from human sight and occupation and wait till it's nighttime to travel across the state. And it's not hard to do. So as we get closer to the sighting on the lake edge, I don't know if you guys can see this, but to the direct left of it is a little suburb. And the Sasquatch, of course, was spotted there. I think it was by, I'd have to check real quick. But anyways, right up next to people's houses. And this is here's a good picture. In the middle, you can see that you have these cut channels, these canals, farming canals. And these are used by Sasquatches to navigate these farming fields, even during the day, to keep below the ground level and out of sight. And there's a lot of reports of them occupying and going down these canals across the state in these farmlands. But this is what Sasquatch do. They can move around the whole state of Michigan and stay out of the major cities and go around most major cities easily by waiting till nighttime and crossing all of these farmer fields and sleeping during the day in these islands of woods. And you can look across the state of Michigan or even Indiana and other farming states in the Midwest, where Sasquatch is occupying spots, wilderness spots in between farmer fields and farmer belts. And a lot of people do not think that Sasquatch is living in all this land, but it is. It's just they are. My experience and is living outside a small little town on a different spot of the state is, you're talking 5, 6, 7 miles from a town, city, with a Walmart and everything. It's not a small city, and there's Sasquatch activity. You don't need, thick woodsy spots like this to hold them. This is not going to hold all the Bigfoot in Michigan. They do need room to run around. They need room to go from the thumb area of the state up to northern Michigan. They're going down south. They're going to the west side of the state, and they're going to Canada. I should have got a different picture to show the thumb, but they're going southeast of this area towards Detroit, towards the suburbs and all to Macomb County and all these other towns outside of Detroit where they are reported. And that is where these farm fields, the farmland habitat that I just showed you, all of this type of habitat butts right up to cities and major cities. And Sasquatch are definitely going into these areas, traveling farmer fields in this type of environment with ease. And they are able to go right up towards cities and right up to the back of restaurants or anything butting up to the farmer fields, forests. And they actually go into river systems to get into the cities and are reported on the river systems and into some of these metro parks. So it's a basic, just a basic little thing. I am going to another show, show it off the computer. I can't do that right now because the way StreamYard is set up for some reason, it is only registering off my phone account. So when I log in through the computer, it says it's on my account, but it acts like it's a different profile or something because I don't have all the capability. Like if I make a live through the phone, like I did here, and I go on my computer to go to that same StreamYard profile, it doesn't even register it. So I stream off the phone, and I can't share my screen and show you guys the map in live view. But in the future, I will do that. We could do other states too. And this is basic, map viewing and determining the best areas for Sasquatch. And it's not that hard to, once you see and realize that they could be potentially everywhere in the U.S. You take Michigan as the example of these farm habitation, which is just blocks and blocks and acres and acres and acres and miles and miles of farmer fields and farming fields, and there's houses spread out sporadically, but it's not close enough to block a Sasquatch from crossing in between houses at nighttime, going across the cornfields, even if there's no corn, no matter what season. These are pretty open areas that are not really occupied or especially at nighttime. Humans are not going out there and looking around typically on these farmer fields, other than maybe for predators, coyote hunters. But typically, Sasquatch can travel across the state of Michigan easily by navigating between people's houses, going across this vast landscape of farming fields, going into other woods, forests, or habitation zones where it feels safe that it can stay during the day. From that point, it waits till nighttime and then travels to wherever other spot it wants to. And they do get up to people's backyards. So if you're in the state of Michigan and you live out in the country, if you live out in the country, you have a chance that there is Sasquatch that do roam through your area at some point. It might be once a year, it might be once a week, it might be, once a month, but there is a chance that there could be different Sasquatch groups in the area, using the area, roaming around the area. And I do know from my experience that there's Sasquatch that spend the entire year here in southern Michigan in habitats just like I showed you, where it's just farming fields with these little chunks of woods in the middle. And they're hopping to these little islands of woods in the middle of these country roads, because all the houses are on the road. They line the road. They're not in the middle of these blocks of country. And so they're navigating in between houses to get to these islands of woods, especially when it's the fall season. You have crops that are growing. You have corn that is going to be 12 foot tall that are hiding these creatures. And they're able to lay down and bed down in the cornfield. They eat all day, and they can ambush predators and prey that they want to eat. And so to say that they're not in these farming fields, they're not, in these, it can't be in the spot because there's no place for them to be. You're thinking of wilderness, Pacific Northwest characteristics in a state that does not have those characteristics. You have a totally different landscape. We're a pretty well-developed farming state. But Michigan is over 50% covered in forest, and that is from midway from the mitten, share like this. So we're about here up is pretty heavily forested, and then the upper peninsula is massively forested. The bottom half, right here, is all farm fields. Even up here, is sporadic, but it's massive farm fields. Landscape. That's the kind of landscape we have. In this environment, Sasquatches are thriving. They're not surviving. They're thriving. They've been reported in the newspapers since the 1960s here in Michigan, in the same environment that I have showed you. And it's just farming fields next to farming fields, and then there's little towns here, bigger cities, massive cities. And then you get outside of those, and it's just farming fields, and it's just like that from the whole state all the way across. Sasquatches are in these areas. They are occupying these areas. Some travel through, but some live full-time around. From my experience, I've had activity all year round that points, at least in my opinion, that they're not all from the northern Michigan. They're not all from Canada, but they're actually living here. Let's see. Read some of these comments. Yeah, a lot of people, I think farmers and all of them, they don't make reports. They're not going on to Bigfoot pages to make reports, typically. And plus, how long does it take, or even if it happens, for a farmer to recognize that he's having Sasquatch activity? I think a lot of farmers are preoccupied with their jobs in the farm to pay attention to Sasquatch activity unless it's in their face and they can't, shrug it off and deny it. Because I think a lot of people see evidence and they just, chalk it up to something else. Or they see a big footprint, it's just the neighbor kids running in the field, or it's a bum, traveling through the area. Well, there's a lot of private property here in Michigan. I mean, it's mostly private property, and you have mostly farmland. You have a lot of areas where people can't go. You got a lot of areas where researchers can't go, where people are not messing with them. Only the occupants of that private property. But if you have a piece of private property, even a farm, okay, that guy is usually busy with the farm. He's not, no. How often is he in the chunk of woods next to the farmland? Maybe to hunt. Okay. Well, does he hunt for deer? Okay. Yes. So does he bow hunt? Yes. Okay. Bow hunting season starts in September, and you could hunt all the way to January with bow. So you have several more hunting months available to season to hunt, to be in those chunks of woods. But typically, most people get a couple tags, and that's it. When they fill them up, they're done. For bow, and then they'll get some more for gun. Most people get, one deer for each bow and gun season. Okay, so he's going to be out there a couple times until he gets his deer with the bow, and then only a 2-week period to gun hunt for deer. So, let's give him a month and a half that he's out there every single day. Say he didn't have a good season, so he's out there for a whole month and a half. Well, that guy's probably not going to be out there every single day. He has a farm to run. And if he allows his kids or family members to hunt. You know, they're not going to be out there every single day for a month and a half. They're going to be out there a couple days and get the deer and leave. They're not going to, you know, slaughter and kill 100 deer every single day and try to get it out there. So they're only there for a limited amount of time, a 2-week period, and then that's it. There's no more gun hunting for deer. There is actually in January, you can you hunt antlerless for another 2 weeks, and you have muzzleloader, which is a couple months. But the shotguns and the crate, I don't know if anyone's hunted during first day of gun season, but it can get pretty crazy if there's a lot of people around, and it sounds like, you know, a war if you're in a pretty populated hunting area. And that's a pretty crazy time for Sasquatch to be running around. But after 2 weeks, it's over with. And hunters, of course, they don't. These are some spots where Sasquatch are going to go during hunting season. On private property, state land, national forest, doesn't matter. They're going to go closer to the roadways because hunters can't shoot at roadways. They're going to go closer to people's houses because people don't shoot and hunt typically close to houses. It's against the law. Highways is a big thing because, again, hunters don't typically go next to the highway to go shoot the gun and hunt. So they're going to go to these occupations zones, butted up to people where hunters can't hunt. They don't even aim their gun in those directions if you're a good hunter. They're going to go to private property that doesn't get hunted. Maybe it's an older person's house where they don't have no one that goes in these chunks of woods. They don't have anyone that goes out there and play. Maybe their grandkids come over and play every once in a while. That's it. Sasquatch are going to gravitate towards those properties, to these chunks of forest in the middle of the countryside that have no hunting, very little human occupation seasonally. And the reason why they know and find these areas and trust them, the reason why they find these areas and they trust them to keep them safe is because they observed those areas. And I think that sometimes they observe these areas all year. They want to see what goes on during each season, each month that happens out here. And typically, you know, let's put the farmer back as an example. He has a set routine that he's going to be doing each and every month, seasonally. It's different work, different stuff's going on. He's only going to be in the woods a specific season or time for only a specific amount of time. And they're going to pick up on this. They're going to pick up on these property owners that don't go to the backwoods. They're going to pick up on, okay, well, Joe only gun hunts for 2 weeks. And he gets, 4 or 5 deer, and that's it. He's out of the woods. He's done. He doesn't go back into the woods for a whole nother year. And then if you ask Joe would say, there's no way Sasquatch is on my backwoods. There's no way. I hunted. I know it, blah, blah, blah. Joe really don't go out there. Joe's not out there 24/7. Joe's not out there during the night. And that a lot of people think like that. They think there's no way there's Sasquatch on my property in those woods. There's no way. I live this far south of Michigan. I hunt. No way. How often are they actually out there during the day for a week consistently, for a month, all year? They're not. They're only out there for a sliver of the time, and yet they think that it's not possible. But while Sasquatch is observing them and knows that, Joe's not going to be out here for another month or two. So that's my opinion from my experience, what's going on, because I've experienced Sasquatch in a number of different spots in Michigan. and they're not. It's not all the same creature. It's not one creature following me across the whole state. These are multiple creatures. This is a population that seems to be thriving. It's not a super rare needle in the haystack animal that I and the group keep finding. Okay, we're not special. Okay, we don't go to an area and they magically appear to us. We find them because there's a high population in Michigan and other states that don't seem like it, and we have a manner and a mindset of when we go out there. So for us to experience Sasquatch across the state, and as often as we do, which is not often, but more often than a lot of people, it points to a higher density of population here in Michigan, whether you're down south or up north. And this could be anywhere in America. The landscape here in Michigan, you have down south to the different environments of Michigan. You could be in any other state, be it Indiana, Ohio, anywhere in the Midwest. It's not any special. It's not a remote mountaintop wilderness in Alaska. This is like everyday America landscape of where they are thriving and where they could be. Right next to people's houses, right next to suburbs, cities. And so when people say, I don't think a Sasquatch could live in this state or live in this area or be around in this area, or how did this sighting happen when there's nothing around, you gotta look outside the box a little bit. Sasquatch doesn't need a remote wilderness forest like a mountain in the Pacific Northwest to survive in Michigan. It's surviving in other ways. It's thriving in other ways. It's adapted to live in Michigan. It's using different adaptation than a Sasquatch that lives in Oregon on a mountain in the Cascade does. So they're getting fat on the farming fields, on the crops and the corn and the deer and everything else. And they are watching people and watching us at our houses. They're window peekers. So they have a lot of reports of them watching people at houses, watching TV. And so and that's what they've always done, is watch humans, to avoid us and to watch us, to observe us, to see what we're doing. And so you have modern people doing modern age stuff, and they're watching us. And they're watching and they're trying to figure out probably what all our gizmos and gadgets are, why we're doing certain things, what that certain thing is, what's the outcome. And so I'm sure they understand very easily that, there's only certain people and certain things they need to watch out for a person indicating that they're going to be out in those woods, or indicating that it's a bad person, it's a good person. What is this tool? What does this item do? They obviously know what guns are. Once they observe a gun shoot something and kill it, it's pretty obvious what that thing does. They might not understand it, how it works, but they understand the concept of, well, this thing kills the deer. It's loud. It's dangerous. They understand that a person is holding the camera up to the face like the gun. It's pointing at the deer, but the deer's not dead, and the human acts all excited, and it's doing something. They're very wary of that. And I was on a show, Squatch Talks show with Pat, and talking a little bit about how there's this, in my opinion, there's this seemingly set of rules that all Sasquatch have to adhere to. Like hide from humans, don't show yourselves, don't try to openly communicate, and all the stuff that Sasquatches do. If they were all an animal or not as intelligent, or why do they all act like that? Why do they all do the same things? They have this set of rules that they do. They all have these guidelines of how to operate and not interact with humans. If they were more animalistic, you would think you would have ones that would not listen, that would just go up to people and do whatever they wanted. Have friendly communication, have an aggressive attack. You would have ones that would go right up to people and have better interaction. Well, how come they're all following these rules? They're not doing this. They're not. Certain individuals aren't coming forward, or certain individuals are not openly attacking more people on camera or anything else blatantly obvious. There are reports of that, but more blatantly obvious stuff. How come they all they just all act the same ways? They all do the same stuff. They all act the same way towards people. Is it a learned cultural rule? This, you must act like this towards humans. You must do this. You must do this. Do not do this. Blah, 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 blah. That's something that would have to be taught and learned in a code and structure that they all would have to listen to and abide to. I don't know. That seems to make more sense than them being some animal or an ape. That they just all what? That's just what they do. It seems a bit more. And of course, my experience coming from hearing communication between two individuals and it sounding very humanoid intelligence. So I think they can think and operate and communicate on a much higher level than any ape. Calling them an ape is disrespectful, I think, because it degrades them to an animal. If they were an animal, we would have had them. We'd have shot them. We'd have stuffed them. We'd have had video of them. We would have these animalistic attacks. We would have different interactions. We would be able to get them on camera. But if they are people and they have a culture or rules and they have rules and regulations that they're all taught, and it's the law, then it makes more sense of why they all do this. They all have such discipline about it. They don't break from it. No matter how much you try to have interaction, friendly, feed them, all this and all that. They do not break this code of conduct. Why? That is a great mystery. As we've shown earlier in the show, the Europeans have a history of these wild people who kidnap people, eat people, attack, but also communicate, and also are able to interlude into society a little bit more than being a wild person, a monster. So is Sasquatch able to do that? The natives point to them being able to trade. And so that takes a very high intelligence, humanoid intelligence, to trade items for items and communicate with the native languages and have understanding of certain things. But also that some of these creatures, certain individuals, would kidnap the females and the kids and kill and eat the men, the warriors. So you must have, it seems to be, in my opinion, that you have certain individuals who, they're not good. Just like humans, we have good and bad people. You have people who follow the rules, people who don't follow the rules, people who act crazy and cause bad situations for everyone else. And, if you have a behavior that you do that is bad, that you keep doing and keep doing and keep doing and getting away with, Sasquatch kidnapping people, they're not going to find anything wrong with it. If they're not getting in trouble, especially in the modern age, you have a lot of these clusters where people go missing in the same spot, every couple of years or a decade or something. The Sasquatch are learning to do this, and they're getting away with it. And they're not worried about search and rescue every time they do it. They're probably not going to stop. They're not going to stop because they're getting away with it. It's beneficial to them. It's not inherently dangerous to them. But the moment we start shooting them, and we do send hundreds of people out in the woods, I think that a lot of different groups don't like that. They don't want that conflict. But certain individuals and groups, they don't care. Who cares if there's 100 people in there? We still are hiding away. We still get away with it. Who cares? That's a dangerous situation. And those individuals become dangerous towards people. And, are not going to be willing to interact in any good way. Get a taste of blood, is what they say with animals, they become man-eaters. Having the taste of blood with humans might change a Sasquatch to do that more. All right, let's take some questions. I see some questions on the chat. Have I ever had mind speak? No, I've never experienced that. Even if I did, I'd be very cautious on that, to see if it was from a Bigfoot or not. How do you know it's a Bigfoot doing that and not something else? People who are into more paranormal or ghost hunting stuff, and you're in the middle of the woods, well, how do you know if it's a Bigfoot or if it's a ghost or if it's something else or this or that or that? You're hearing a voice in your head. I know a lot of people. I think Bobo from Finding Bigfoot. I think he has a story where he got mind spoke to, and he was going to take a picture of a Bigfoot. The Bigfoot mind spoke to him and said he would kill him if he took that picture. I mean, I think that's pretty credible from a pretty credible guy. So, if you want to get deeper into it, is that his own subconscious telling him that, oh no, if you're going to take this picture, you're going to die, Once you open up to the whole mind speak thing, that's a huge book. I mean, we're trying to just prove Bigfoot's real. And now you're talking about opening a huge Pandora's box of stuff that is going to be extremely hard to prove, extremely hard to show, and if they're mind speaking and there's stuff like that going on, I don't think it's safe for people to be out there trying to interact with these things the way we do. If they're mind speaking to us, they have an intelligence well beyond what we're giving them, and people who are out there saying, well, they're mind speaking to me, and I gift them marbles. Why would the Bigfoot want the marble? If the Bigfoot is mind speaking and can read your thoughts and do this and all this other stuff, do you think it's going to want a marble? That intelligence, high intelligence that it wants, is going to be wanting a little marble to play with? And it's going to be fascinated by a little marble? you would think it would want to watch, I don't know, King Kong versus Godzilla in your head because you've seen it. Why would it be occupied with a marble? Wouldn't it want to watch movies? Wouldn't it want to view technology? Wouldn't it want to understand what Elon Musk is doing? Wouldn't it want to find out what's happening in culturally the world? It wants the marble, but yet it's mind speaking to you. That just is some red flags to me, and it could be deception. You get into the good versus evil type of stuff. We talk about the ghost stuff. If Sasquatches are like Nephilim, or say they're all demons. If it's mind speaking and it's evil and it's it doesn't want the marble. Okay, the marble is a distraction. It's distracting you to come closer, to get more comfortable with it, to interact with it more. Do you really think some high intelligent creature that is able to mind speak with you wants the marble? And it just screams deception and dangerous situation, actually. So I'm very cautious of that stuff going on, because you don't know what it is. It could be an evil spirit, if you guys believe in that. Why not an alien? Why is it a Bigfoot? But once you get into that, outside entities able to speak inside your head, that's a dangerous situation. That's not normal, and that could be, how are you going to defend yourself against something that's doing that? Now it has nefarious reasons why it's doing this. How are you supposed to defend yourself against that? What are you going to do? You come to find out this is thing that attacks people and hurts people and invades their minds and makes them crazy. What are you supposed to do? Because you're not prepared, you don't know what's going on. You think it's a Bigfoot, and he's trying to be friendly with you. So that's kind of my rundown on that situation. Is I don't think that leads to anything good. I think that could be very bad. You get into bad spiritual juju, bad juju stuff. Because there's a reason why I don't ghost stuff. When I was a kid, I was all fascinated with all this ghosts and Bigfoot and UFOs and Loch Ness monsters and blah blah blah. You can't tell if it's a good ghost or if it's a demon or what the heck. What it is. It's just something going on. Blah 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 blah. Well, most of the stories and information out there is these demonic things are try to act like kids and be more friendly and trick people, deceive people. So anything like that that's going on in the woods with any entity, I'd be very cautious about, and I would be praying and using a higher power to defend myself, because that's where it gets into. You take yourself out of the natural world and you get yourself in the spiritual world. Well, if you're not religious, you better get religious real fast, because these entities are not using natural abilities to attack you. So, anyways, kind of got off. Kind of went down the rabbit hole with that one, but that's my opinion on that. No, I don't think Sasquatches are inherently dangerous, but they can be dangerous. And I think they're indifferent towards us, and if they have a reason and feel the need to take the person out, they will. I think that maybe they're curious about humans, modern humans. They want to have this. Maybe they want a relationship with us, some of us, again. They had this trading relationship with natives before seemingly across all nations and different tribes, it leads to conflict. But maybe they, certain individuals, don't want to listen to the rules, and they want to have closer interaction with humans because maybe it could be beneficial for their survival, or we could wipe them all out. It could go either way when Sasquatch is actually legitimately proven. Actually, the government already tells us what's going to happen, and it doesn't sound like fun. Yeah, Phil. I do believe they have eaten humans. Oh, most certainly. The natives talked about this. I just showed some pictures of them stealing people. We have model reports of Val's database of people found with their heads twisted off, heads ripped off, beaten and bloodied, guns warped, broken, bent, dogs killed. The natives talk about them being cannibals to the natives and of themselves. But they would steal women and children, usually eat the children, usually try to mate with the females, and then would eat them, or in some cases they would have the baby and then they would eat the mom anyways. Or some stories the Sasquatches actually took the woman and kept her alive, but actually kept him as the mate. And then that Sasquatch would die or something would happen, and that human female would be a widow, would return to her tribe and tell the story of, yes, he kept me alive, kept me in the cave, and basically treated her as good as a Sasquatch could, I guess. But yeah, they definitely eat people. Okay, let's just break it down like this. All right, humans have eaten other people. Humans culturally have eaten other people for thousands of years. You have the tribes of Papua New Guinea that religiously eat their dead relatives. They cook them, barbecue them, whatever, and eat their flesh. And, they for religious reasons, of course, but you have other tribes that dine on humans. It's not as prevalent now, of course, but a lot of different cultures and stuff. You drink the blood of your enemy. You drink, eat this. Become more powerful. Even apes, chimpanzees eat smaller monkeys, primates. They found in caves where Neanderthal are signs of cannibalism. That they think the Neanderthals ate other Neanderthals, and they definitely think Neanderthals ate Homo sapiens, us, modern humans. So you have all these. So you might have other relic hominoids that might have been cannibals, or at least ate humans, because we're different than them. We do know that we had warfare and conflict with Neanderthals and modern humans. We do know that modern humans and Neanderthals mated and bred, and they were in fact hybrids. We find DNA in certain populations and individuals. So eating other hominids or other primates or human type creatures is a very old and well-known thing that people did. Neanderthals did. Humans have done it through all of human history that we have records of and know of. Sometimes it's for survival. It's about extreme survival situations. Sometimes it's for fun or religious reasons. So, yes, I think they eat us. They probably eat anything they want. They are opportunists. I don't typically think they like to eat humans as much as they used to because of how much conflict it causes, and they've learned. The Native Americans, would wipe them out. I think they understand what will happen if you start eating people. We don't like that, and now we have guns. Now we have different stuff. And if they've been next to any military bombing range, then they probably, they they don't want that conflict. But it doesn't stop certain individuals from doing it. But I think that in most cases they don't want that conflict. I think I think here in Michigan, being that they're not in a remote place, they have to live next to people. I think they have to be very patient with people, and they can't just eat every person that they want, obviously. But the more wild you get, the more west and wilderness spots and remote places where people don't go, I think you might have a better chance of a Sasquatch and might, let's just eat this guy in the remote wilderness on a mountaintop than here in Michigan, because there's no place for them to run. And if we all start looking, but in these more remote spots where humans don't interact with humans and observe humans as often, you might have individuals and tribes that might kidnap a few people. But I think it's just individual situation, and there are missing people clusters in Michigan, and there are spots where there's definitely sightings of Sasquatch and great habitation spots. So I don't know, but I know I've been in situations where I was very close by myself, no gun. Sometimes I didn't even have a knife. They never took me, never acted aggressive. But I do know that if given the opportunity, maybe they will. Maybe they would. I made one mad, and if his female counterpart wasn't there to argue and talk him down, maybe he would have got up and ripped my head off. I don't know. Definitely felt it though. Felt his emotion and his anger. All right, so here's a question: how tall do they get? Do I think? Well, the reports are on average are from 7 to 12 foot tall, and bigger. Some reports are of them bigger, 16 foot tall. Yeah, I think that's about the range. 7 to 12. Just like people, you have different people in size variety, and we definitely have some big individuals here in Michigan. The ones that me and Jason seen at nighttime. The one standing was, 7, 8 foot tall, maybe taller. I know there's a footprint cast that I got. It'd be about 8 foot, maybe 9 foot. There's I think there is a report of a 16 footer here in Michigan, but I haven't read that sighting in a while, so I can't. I'm not going to give any more details about it. I do remember there's a 16 footer. There's reports of this other type of creature, maybe a deformed dog man, deformed Bigfoot or something, but it's the size of a Volkswagen van. on all fours. I mean, it's pretty huge. It's reported up in northern Michigan, and massive head, deformed looking creature, but doesn't look like a Bigfoot. Doesn't look like a typical dog man. Don't know what that is, and the reports are very sparse, but Michigan's just a weird state. We're surrounded by these massive bodies of water, and there's a lot of missing people here on land, in the water, and in the air. We have military aircraft that has gone missing in the Great Lakes, flying through the Great Lakes. There's boats missing in the Great Lakes and on land. There's a lot of missing people, and they call it the Great Lakes Triangle. There's a lot of well-known cases, a lot of well-known people who have gone missing. It's a weird state. Some people say water has a lot of energy about it, and maybe this energy has certain properties, and certain things gravitate towards these waters, and both spiritual and all that. You want to get into that, but there's no doubt about it. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of missing people, and aircraft, planes that go missing. They just bloop, bloop, they're gone. They're vanished. So it's a very weird state. We have Sasquatch here for sure. I've seen the dog man. I hate that name. I wish there was something better, and I also seen a rake, the rake, I guess, or I called it the stick man, but a humanoid goblin-looking creature. So Michigan is a hotspot for a lot of different weird phenomenon. Bigfoot is just one of them. We also have a lot of lake monsters. It's a whole nother thing that our state is known for. So Michigan is just one little thing that we have here. So, is there any other questions? We'll probably be shutting this down here. It's been about 2 hours. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the show. I jumped around a lot more than I thought we were going to. But that's what it's all about, having these live shows, is having fun and going off in different directions and talking about different topics. And I don't know. I know Michigan is, the lakes are pretty dangerous, and it takes a number of lives each and every year. I don't know if they're dangerous in the U.S., but I know that bodies of water are dangerous to humans and always have been. And for some reason, and that's why there's a lot of myth and legends about lakes and waters and deadly river systems. Some of them might be real things that they've seen of, people being pulled under by, giants and water serpents and spirits and all this other stuff. But the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of odd stuff on Lake Michigan and all the other lakes, Lake Superior, and it's very old lakes. They're very they're the biggest lakes in the world full of fresh water. There's a lot of the Native Americans around here. And a lot of myths and legends about the landscape, about the lakes themselves. Very all interesting stuff that if you get into and read, of water panthers, of serpents, of winged creatures. They did have little people here. They have hairy creatures that lived in the dunes on the shores of Lake Michigan. Sleeping Bear Dunes and stuff. They had old legends of these. They weren't Sasquatches, but they were hairy humanoid creatures that lived in the dunes and rock faces and some of odd spots where it seemed like these creatures could go into the rock or into cracks of the rock and somehow were in there. it doesn't say, but they said that they lived in the dunes. But well, how do you live in the dunes? How do you get into the dunes? It's just it's sand, and it's not a cave system. But it was the stories were depicted as they're living in the dunes like a cave system. But anyone who's ever been there, it's not like that. They had thunderbirds and stuff and different creatures. It's just all amazing how a lot of the stories about these mystical creatures, are totally dismissed. But Sasquatch is like one of the only ones that people take seriously, and actually research. Thunderbirds, that's just myth and legend. But Sasquatch, well, that's real. People do see giant birds. People do see these little people. People see Dogman. People see these other humanoid creatures. People see a lot of stuff that the natives seen. And I think that, the more we explore and learn and try to figure out and listen to these stories about these mythical creatures, about Sasquatch from the natives, I think we can pick these pieces of puzzles from those, and it might fit to where the missing pieces are on our puzzle, and we can really learn and form new strategies, gather evidence, and actually have better research going on, and a better understanding, and not dismissing the Native Americans as stories. Unfortunately, that's what they do with all of the native tribes of the world. Is they're just stories, and they're just myth and legends, and they're not real until until their legends are backed up by science, or they it's just sad that it's not taken more seriously, and there's no historical records of Native American culture, really. It's all bundled up together of, this is what happened when white man first came here. And then beyond that, they were, hunter-gatherers, and some of them farmed, and, they had maybe an empire and a few chiefs that they recognized through oral traditions a couple hundred years before the white people. But before that, they say, this culture, even the Mississippi Mountain culture, they'll say that they're natural Native Americans, but they say that, they were just doing this for 1,000 years or a couple thousand years, and they weren't really doing anything else. They didn't have no stories. They didn't have no historical evidence that, they didn't, nothing. It's just, they were just doing this for a couple thousand years. But they don't take those individual stories seriously. They don't take their war stories of great wars they had, of great warriors that they still talk about down through generations of these certain individuals that did these heroic acts in warfare or whatever it was as real, because it's just stories. But it's sad. It's a lot of cultural history that's gone, that we don't take seriously, and that it is dying. Because a lot of Native American history and culture is dying. It's being drowned, and their heads are not barely above the water most of the time. So you're losing cultures, you're losing languages. I mean, we're losing elders and stories that no white man has ever heard and probably won't ever hear, because not everyone's able to put all their understanding onto the internet, and sometimes it's not allowed. Certain tribes and elders, they don't want this stuff to get out, and it might die with them because of that. I know a lot of languages are you only have a couple thousand people speaking it anymore. You have certain tribes, like in Florida. When I went to Florida and I learned some Native American words and phrases from Florida, but trying to find the original tribes there, they were all wiped out from diseases from when pirates came, the Spanish came. And the only living language there that was actually used
for the last couple 100 years was tribes from Georgia that were being pushed down by the government, a confederacy of multiple tribes, and some of them were still down there, and there's only about 500 of those people speaking that particular language. Only 500 people left. So you have a lot of cultures, Native American languages that you can learn. You can learn online. You can find websites. You have learning centers and stuff, and a lot of them are not charging anything because they want their languages to be passed on and live. And they're coming in. They're realizing that they need to preserve it on the internet. They need to preserve it online. They need to teach more people and have it available. So you can learn this stuff online, and it could help your Bigfoot research if you find the Native American tribes that are still around and able and have the information available. You can learn that. It might help with your Sasquatch research, because that's, from my experience, it has it definitely has improved our interaction. They definitely respond to certain stuff, and they respond with the Native American. So. And so that's why I take, when the Native Americans say that the Sasquatch do eat people and they kidnap people, I believe it, and I take it more seriously. They're not your friendly forest giant hippies that are, nature lovers. These things eat. They need to eat. And they eat meat. And you are the menu out there. In the wilderness, everything's on the menu. Anything would try to eat you given the opportunity. A coyote would eat you. So, being in the wild and being in that survival mode, it's about survival. And, opportunity comes. That's the best thing. All right, so if there's any other questions, no other questions, probably wrapping it up. So you got a lot of great people in here. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the show. But I've been working on some new stuff. I got lucky, but my other computer totally is, I think, done with. Just it'll come on, it's just so slow anymore. It won't load anything, and so thankful I had multiple backups of files, of evidence, of expeditions, of full encounters that was preserved and stuff, because it could have been a very bad situation for me in the lost cryptids. Having a lot of your evidence being totally gone, and you can't show it no more, can't show unreleased stuff, that would be a big, it'd have been bad. But luckily we got a lot of good stuff saved, and I'm working on a bigger video of evidence. Got some good stuff from Florida to show once Kerry Arnold releases his documentaries, and once they're showed on his documentary, go ahead and release it on this channel, and we'll talk a little bit more about stuff. But going to show audio. Right, we're filming at night with the GoPro, but you can't see nothing, so it's just audio. But of audio of people turning around and seeing a Sasquatch right there, and then me and him, talking about it and going right up to that spot. We have orbs on camera, eye shine on camera, red eye shine or eye glow, I do move the IR light away. I keep going like this because I'm trying to see if it's glowing off, it's shining off the light, or if it's self-illuminating glow. And it appears to be self-illuminating red eye glow. That was in Florida, for sure. Never used to think anything about the red eye glow until I've experienced it myself and filmed it. Got a bunch of different audio clips, audio stuff. Got stuff that I've shown on here being rock being thrown at me and James during the daytime. Wood knocks. I'll have to make a part 2 of, and this is going to be the part 2 is probably going to be all the stuff that I'm waiting on other people to release their documentaries first, out of respect. And I'm going to show in part 2 different evidences from the UP and from Florida and different stuff that I'm waiting on. Because that's just how I want to be. In the Bigfoot community, there's a lot of, it can be a nasty place. The Bigfoot community and the subject brings a lot of certain individuals, con artists, con people, hoaxers, and a lot of people who take advantage of other people. And I think that I want to be respectable, and I don't want to. I don't want to fall into any of those categories. I just want to be I just want to present Bigfoot evidence, be a researcher, present evidence that hopefully can be proven one way or another. If I show something on here that you guys are like, oh, that's just a bobcat. Great. Let's make sure, let's prove it, so that way we can have a representation of, oh, this is a bobcat recording that we can always look and have, and try to vet our evidence and make it more proof than evidence. So we're not afraid to be wrong here at the Lost Cryptids Conservatory. We got some evidence that we think is Bigfoot, and you guys are like, dude, that's a freaking bird. I got this clip. It shows this. Great. We want to hear that. We want to see that because we want to improve upon our evidence and make sure we're getting real deal stuff, not stuff that can be proven something else. So I think everyone should be like that more. Yeah, the I have an IR on it, and I'm trying to flash off of it and away from it, and it doesn't seem to be reflecting off the IR light because it doesn't dim, it doesn't move, it doesn't flash or shine or anything. It stays pretty consistent. And then, of course, it ends up moving away once another individual comes over to shine a real light on it. But you'll see that in good time. That one's not going to get released until it's shown on Bigfoot Odysseys documentary. But out of respect, I'm not going to show any stuff because, we went down there and, I took it like I acted like it was a job, and Carrie is the boss. I tried to do as best of the job I could and get him evidence that he needed to get and show. And I'm not going to spoil it by showing it on my channel first. No, I mean, that's not what the job was. The job was to get him the stuff and make sure he can present it first. Not to have glory in it and stuff. I don't care. I did what I needed to do and got him some certain clips and videos and things that I think you guys are going to enjoy and like. And after it's all said and done, I'll present it and break it down for you guys. But out of respect and stuff, I'm not going to do that. I know other people have shown stuff that they got in Florida that, might be in the documentary, but it's kind of a little bit of a spoiler in my opinion, but just like the Michigan Upper Peninsula expedition, Jason Kenzie has a documentary. He's going to show certain clips. He's not going to show everything that we got. The whole thing is not the Michigan expedition, but I don't want to show any piece of stuff to spoil his documentary. So out of respect, I'm going to be like that, and because I think the Bigfoot community needs more of that. We don't need any more hoaxers and people who take advantage of other people. That happens all the time. It happens a lot. The bad thing about having a group of people is sometimes you have people in your group that they're not the best. They're not the best fit. Sometimes you don't find that out for months after. And, seems like the community does bring out certain individuals who have certain tendencies to take advantage of other people and steal things from people and try to steal group members from people and, lie and make up stuff. That's very sad and very, it definitely makes people not want to be in the community. And so we don't want to be like that. We want to have cooperation, and not support people who act like that, cheat people out of stuff, steal people from groups, talk crap, hoax, or hoaxing. You know what a hoax is? Is giving someone an ultimatum saying, I'm not going to include your counter in our report that we're sending to some scientist unless you do what I say with this ultimatum. That's hoaxing. Now you're going to just deny someone's experience that happened during this time period because you don't like that person? Because that person isn't going to do what you want them to do. So you're just going to lie about it. I mean, that's hoaxing. We can talk about that too. How that's hoaxing in and of itself. But we have people like that. When you have people like that in the Bigfoot community, trying to give you ultimatums, trying to make you do stuff, trying to, kick people out of groups that they don't like. Yeah. I mean, you got people trying to steal work of other people who, create a brand, create a group, and then now they want to take it over because, they don't like you. And they think they can do better. I mean, that happens all the time. I think we need to banish those people, honestly. It doesn't help anything of the community. Paints us and makes us look like crap towards everyone else. I mean, heck, we can't even have a functional community, groups, and people without cheating each other and stabbing each other in the back and stealing stuff from each other and trying to muddy the waters. It's sad. And you know what? There is government agents and officials in the community doing just that. That's what they do. Gatekeepers, frauds, trolls, all parasites. Yep. And there is government agencies doing that, monitoring us, trolling us, even in our certain groups. I was told by that. I was told by some ex-Fed. Okay, well, obviously there's more going on in the Bigfoot community and Bigfoot if that's needed. But and I think they definitely are acting like gatekeepers. And there's certain individuals that It's just a problem. It really is, and it's as bad as hoaxing. And I think that the way we treat hoaxers, we should treat these people who act like this, or in it for the money. That's what they want to do. They're not. It's just so stupid. I hate it, and money ruins a lot of good stuff. So, and I just can't take those people seriously. Any research that they do, I just can't. I take this very seriously. A lot. I mean, this is what I do. I mean, I don't watch football. I'm into Sasquatch. That's researching, going out in the field as often as I can, being seriously into this, researching in all aspects, taking it seriously, and not, this is just some hobby I have. I go out every little bit. This is like real deal stuff. This is important to me. I've had ever since my encounter at 13 and before. This is kind of important to me. This is kind of my life. And, to have some wannabe researcher who acts like they, know stuff and are doing stuff and presenting blob squatches, who act a certain way, but when you're out in the field with them, they're nothing. They're not even doing nothing. They're just at camp. When we go on a Bigfoot expedition, we're not camping. We're not gonna sit around the campfire. We're not sitting around camp all day. We're going to research. You're gonna be out in those woods. You're gonna be walking. You're gonna be sweating. You better get your butt off that chair and get out in those woods. You want to come on an expedition with me? You better get your butt up and go. You ain't standing. You ain't gonna be at the camp all day. That's not research. That's camping. That's not what we're out there doing. You want to complain that it's too hot all day? You know you can't go outside. You can't go out during the day because it's too hot. Maybe you should go home. It's gonna be hot all day. It's gonna be hot all week out here. Better get used to it. Because we ain't going anywhere besides out in those woods. Get your butt up and go. Or get your butt up and go home. Anyone could go out in the woods, take a bunch of pictures of some random tree breaks and random trees that fell down and say, oh, it's a Bigfoot. Anyone can go out there and randomly take a picture of some damaged soil and say it's a Bigfoot track. Anyone can go out in the woods and go at nighttime and hear stuff and freak out and, there's a Bigfoot. Anyone can do that. It's not hard. It's easy to hoax. It's easier to hoax than to prove real stuff. To try to present real evidence, to try to get close, to have actual interaction on camera to show people. So it is frustrating when you see these people doing being lazy and hoaxing and not even really doing a good job and then saying, yeah, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me, without any proof. Just a story. Just take it seriously. I mean, I know people who they're seriously enough they want to make money off of it, but they ain't seriously enough to go out there in the woods and do anything. As if you could make money off this. Is there any money in this? No. Who's making money on any of this? You look at let's look at Cliff Brackman. He didn't make much money off finding Bigfoot. He has enough money that he lives good. He is able to start his museum. He's not rich. He's not set. There is no what money. And people act like, they're going to become famous and be on TV and have all this money. Look at the people who are on TV. They're not rich, and they certainly aren't famous. So what money? There is no money. You spend more money. You spend more money than you're ever going to make. And if you do make money, you make enough to live a decent way. You're not super rich, and you're able to just go out and research, basically. That's about it. Yeah, or like World Bigfoot Radio said, how many take the time to go back and get a comparison picture of their blob squatch to prove it isn't here anymore? Not many people, because they know it's their blob squatch. Yeah, anyone can, and people do. They just take pictures of a bush. I could take some pictures of a bush and say, hey, look at the Sasquatch up in here. And knowing there's nothing there, I'm sure I would get dozens of people that would point to different things in the picture and say, that's a Sasquatch. I know people who have done that as an experiment. It's sad. Anyways, I'm getting a little worked up now talking about all these crappy people in the community, because it's frustrating, and having personally dealt with people in the group that have had kicked out of the group because of they're not our group isn't about making money. Our group isn't about doing the certain things. You don't like me because I got to take care of my family, my kids in the hospital, and I didn't get to go out on that group. Well. Leave. Get you out of here. A lot of deception, and, I just don't deal with that no more. I had to deal with that enough. I don't have to deal with that no more. So if you come around me, or, you act a certain way, I don't have to be around you. I don't have to deal with you. And I certainly don't listen to go follow through ultimatums that you give me. That ain't happening. So you can kiss my butt and go. And so yeah, we had a few people. They just couldn't cut it. They didn't, and I'm glad, because you learn after just how these people were and what they set up. And jealousy is a pretty bad thing. You get jealous because you get jealous because you're in our group and you don't get to experience Bigfoot as often as, say, maybe I am. Are you with me every single time? Are you walking with me in the middle of the night to go change the recorder? When I say, hey, let's go over here. If you're not there right with me, you ain't going to experience something that happens to me, around me. Don't get jealous because you didn't want to get up and go. You don't need those people in your group. You don't need those people in the community. Yeah, we need a Batman of the community. We do. We need someone. I'm not saying I'm not the person to do it. I like to mind my own business, but I do see a lot of hoaxing. A lot of people trying to take over other groups or steal stuff. I see it a lot. And the hoaxing, that should be exposed. And I got a picture today. Actually, it's a couple days old, but it's a hoax photo. Basically, it's a dog man with his mouth open, and it shows all these teeth. Well, the teeth seem to be like photoshopped in. It's not natural because when I do all these different filters and go through my process, the whatever the teeth are, they seem to never. They're not with what they're just randomly in the picture. They're not with the object they think that they're trying to be a part of. They're glowing as if they're photoshopped and other stuff, but people believe it. People are eating it up. Oh my God, this is amazing. This is a dog man. Well, okay, if you look at the picture, is the dog man, because his mouth is open with the teeth up and down. So does the dog man have a bunch of sticks and leaves and brush in its mouth? Because that's what it seems to depict if you think that's a real creature. This creature is literally biting with sticks and stuff inside its mouth, and what? It's not real. It's not even. I don't know how people can even see that and say it's a real photo. But you have people who present a good story and present it as real, and you have all these people who think it's real. Now you have to confront them. They don't want to hear it. You have all these people defending it. How are you supposed to expose that hoaxer and without people, defending that person, or defending the hoax? How are you going to convince all those people? People don't want to be deceived, and they don't want to realize that they have been deceived. They don't want to be wrong. It's such a crappy photo. And people think it's real. So yeah, I think that should be exposed. And people who steal stuff, cheat, and try to steal evidence, try to, it's so stupid. I think that people who are like that and act like that should be outcasted and labeled, at least that hey, these people's in it for the money. That's all they want. They're not trying to spread awareness, prove Sasquatch. They're not even trying to help people. They're just trying to line the pocket full of money, and what little money there is in Bigfoot research if you're able to make money. So it has definitely been a fantastic, wonderful, and informative year for the Lost Cryptids Conservatory. We got a heck of a lot of good evidence. We got a lot of good experience, both good and bad, from people. Very good for myself and for the group, and puts our goals in more perspective and more focused on our goals of getting evidence to hopefully try to prove or set into motion, or have some evidence you can throw into the category to help prove it. We're not trying to make money. Yeah, we did do a Michigan Bigfoot conference, and probably going to do more. Definitely not about the money. In fact, we didn't make no money. We lost money. Certain individuals who were a part of that are not part of it, and they're very upset that they didn't make no money. But money is not about making money for us. I don't even care if I do another Bigfoot conference. I just want to get in the woods and get evidence and show you guys. That's where I like being, is in the woods at night, during the day, in the wild, wherever, trying to get evidence of Bigfoot, trying to have the interaction, trying to have this. I mean, I'm poor as heck. I don't care if I make money. I'm never going to make money off this. I enjoy doing this. I've done it for a lot of years, 18 years now, and longer, reading books and actually interested in the subject. This is something I want to do, something makes me happy, trying to show you guys, trying to prove stuff, trying to have the best interaction I can, pushing the envelope, having more interaction. I want to get a Bigfoot on camera. I want to have just some incredible piece of audio or video evidence that you just no doubt about it. It's a Bigfoot interaction. And so that's what we're about. Not about doing all this other junk. So, all right, I think I'm probably done ranting and stuff. Keep on going. World Bigfoot Radio says. Yeah, I think everyone who forms their own group and stuff should vet the people they coming in. And sometimes, and don't put yourself or your group in a situation where other people think they have a ownership of it, so they somehow are entitled to it because of certain things that they voluntarily do. So I think a lot of people should be wary because you create something, you put your blood, sweat, and tears and hundreds of hours into for another person to make voluntarily funds in hopes of getting money back. Now they're trying to take your stuff because they didn't make no money back. It's just not it's not how it's going to work. Don't put yourself in that situation. And those people who act like that are trying to do that. They should be known for that. They're not known for research, but they can be damn known pretty fast about trying to steal money and trying to steal this and do this and that and that. So yeah, we had to deal with certain situations like that. I don't like ultimatums. I never have, never will. You ain't gonna go pressure me and try to do something. But certain situations happen, certain situations played out, and don't have to deal with those people again. It's frustrating, isn't it? It's just very frustrating that you people who do this, and hey, these individuals they came out better than when they first joined this group. They definitely are more well known. They definitely got to go on a number of expeditions outside of the state. They definitely doing their own interviews and all that. Done all that. That's good. Glad you guys got the benefit from joining the group. You also got a couple $1,000s worth of equipment for free too. Didn't really get a. Well, that you got for free. But hey, if you can. Take advantage of people and take advantage of the group and come out better and all that, then I guess good for you. But all you are to me is just frauds. Frauds, liars, hoaxers, bad actors. Bad actors. And so brush it off, move on, doing a lot better things. And actually, it's so funny when one door closes, another one opens. A lot of great opportunities has actually happened to our group, and actually pretty excited for all of it. So yeah, we're gonna do a lot of good stuff and try to show you guys evidence. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we've been about. And people have asked me, if they can join the Lost Cryptids. And as of right now, the vetting process would be very hard, and I'm definitely not accepting any applications. But yeah, from those bad experiences, yeah, definitely going to be vetting people a heck of a lot more, and it's going to be not an easy process, not a fast process either. Yeah, yeah, it's true. The trash gets more attention. They try to, yeah, they take the attention away from the legit guys, and it just muddies the water. It's hard. I mean, you have real people who are trying to give you real evidence, and then you have some hoaxer blows up, goes world viral, and or you have a good group of people, and then certain individuals in that group that try to take credit and steal things, and then try to steal the whole group from other people, and a bunch of frauds, bunch of fakes, bunch of crooks is what it is, what they are. People who get jealous of you because you're actually doing the hard work and out there. If you wanted to go and have interaction with Sasquatch, get your butt in the woods and do it. If you're at camp all night while other people are going out there who have interaction because they went out there, don't get jealous at them. Don't get jealous at us. Get your butt up and go. You can't be jealous of someone because you never freaking go to have the interaction. And then you're jealous of that person. But, yeah, I'm going to push myself harder. These expeditions and stuff. We're just pushing it harder because we're not camping. We're not going to sit at camp all day. Like, it irritates me when you're a Bigfoot expedition, a Bigfoot camp out. I understand that you can, and we have had interaction by staying at camp too. I get that, but you can't always expect that to happen every time you go out and just stay at camp. If you go out, maybe you'll bring them into camp. And then you can justify sitting at camp. But just to sit at camp all day doing nothing, that's not research. You're not researching. You're camping, and you're not even leaving your campsite. So for people who are dead set on an expedition, and you have months and months of planning, and it's going to be this temperature, and it's going to be this hot, and it's going to be all day, don't complain about how hot it is. You should be prepared and prepped, trained to get out there and endure it to go get the evidence. Oh, it's too cold out. It's snowing. I can't research because it's snowing out. Why not? Because you're too cold? Bundle up more. Put on a warmer coat. Get out there and go. I can't research because it's winter. Well, I guess you're never going to find anything in winter because you're never going to go out. You want to go camp and go sit at camp? Go in your backyard and have a fire. You go sit by the fire all day, all night. If you go into a spot, across the state that we're here to research, you probably shouldn't be having your butt at the campfire all night. You can do that anywhere. Show me you're going into these spots. You went on this Bigfoot expedition. Well, what'd you show me? You showed me you were at camp. Hey, and if you're disabled and you're not able to do that, hey, do whatever you can. I get that. But the people who present themselves as something they're not, as more than doing more than they actually are, those people they're discredited by that. it's disappointing, you know. Disappointing to have researchers that should be doing stuff not. But to each their own, and that's why I try to hopefully show you guys that we go out there. I certainly go out there, go in the middle of swamps. I drag my group and my team out there. Some are more willing than others to go into the swamps, but we try to show you the guys we are actually in the thickets, off the trail, and sometimes we stay on the trail. Sometimes we have interaction that's on the trail, but we're away from camp several miles, and so anyways, I guess that that should probably be enough. Went way over on this live show than I thought I was going to. Covered a lot of different subjects, topics. Got a little heated at the end, talked about irritation of mine and drama in the Bigfoot community that certainly does need to be dealt with in some way or another. Maybe if we can find our Batman. But collectively hold our group to higher standards, and these people who act a certain way, hoax a certain way, or are deceptive and prey upon gullible people who are nice, I think those people need to be should be known and ostracized from a group and not be able to participate in conferences, in expeditions, and research discussions. If they are known frauds, stealers, cheats, money grabbers, we don't need them at our table. Whatever they are presenting, they're only trying to get more money. They're only trying to do stuff for themselves. It's not for the community. It's not to spread awareness, not to teach anyone. They're not in the discussion to, approve upon everyone's ideas and thoughts upon the subject and puzzle pieces. Trying to make them money, trying to get them more equipment they can take out of people, trying to find more areas that they can say, well, I know this spot too, and I know this and all that. It's another big thing. Keep your spots secret. Don't be telling people. Don't be telling people where you're at. Don't be telling people where you're going. Because then you have a person that's not in your group anymore that might know where a couple of your spots are. That's why you never tell all your spots. Because it's a very bad situation. If you're in a spot where you're dedicated years of your life of research and you have some bimbo that just comes in there and runs amok, shoots his gun off, here's a situation. We got a spot. Basically, long story short, this guy, they seen one standing out in the open very close to them. Big male, not doing nothing. A couple hours later go by, this individual gets blasted, drunk, hears stuff around camp. This is hours after they seen a fully grown adult Sasquatch. Hears stuff around him. He proceeds to unload his pistol around the campsite in all the directions. What do you think is going to happen when another individual goes to the area to try to research and the last person that interacted with that group shot at them? Now, what if that's your research spot you spent years at? What kind of detrimental effects is that going to have on you and their relationship because some drunken guy shot at them? Or if a guy who doesn't like you, what if he tries to hoax in your spot? What if he tries to hoax you, hoping that you'll find a footprint, hoping you'll find this hoax that he's perpetrating? It's just not good, Shunned, yeah. They should be shunned. I think, you always have to be careful. And unfortunately, can't make everyone happy. And so, keep your places a little bit more secretive and only reveal it to those you trust, truly trust. I mean, But always trust your gut instincts about Sasquatch and about people. And honestly, it doesn't matter if a certain people knows your spot. The interaction you're having with Sasquatch and that clan is your own and should hopefully be recognized by that group that you are individual and not this other bimbo that's shooting at them. Hopefully that interaction and research that you're doing can transcend any negative stuff that some random bimbo is doing, or that guy who doesn't like you and is in your spot to just, do whatever. Hopefully they're going to pick up on these, your interaction, and it won't have an effect. So, but you never know. So you always have to watch out. And that's why my advice to anyone who's trying to start a group, has a group, and wants members, you better vet them and better to lay down some ground rules about how things are going to operate, because you might have individuals who might think that they're, they how should I put it? I don't know. You have individuals who think they are ready. I guess you have individuals who think they are able to do what they want, take from what they've learned from you and run with it and be on their own and take your group. Once money's involved, this money's the water. But there's only one Lost Cryptids Conservatory, and there's only one founder of it, and then you're looking at him. So people don't like that. People didn't like that. And, well, they're not around anymore. Like I said, you want to start, you want all this, you want all this stuff, you're able to do this, start your own brand and do what the hell you want. Don't like the way I'm running things, don't like the way I operate it, don't have to be around it. You don't have to be in it. You want your own show. You want to try to take over my show and have your own little show under my umbrella show. How about you just make your own stuff? No, you can't. Don't know how. Don't want to. Oh well, I guess you're not doing one then. All right, I gotta go. It's 2 o'clock. I was gonna work on some more videos, but I'm gonna probably pass out. Been working on a lot of videos, and the reason why they haven't came out is because I have certain scenes that I wanted in here, and then I really don't want that certain individual on camera, and maybe I'll take them out, but that only hinders myself, not being able to show everything because that person's in it, So I'm redoing everything, and I don't give a crap, I'm not going to censor myself because I don't want certain people on camera because they're not legitimate and they're not my friend. They're not our friends, and they actively said they're going to try to take me down. So good luck. But I'm not going to censor myself, so got to re-edit a couple things, and we're going to present a number of different stuff to you guys, and mostly evidence of our encounters, of things actually happening. And so be on the lookout for that. I'll try to drop one here pretty soon. We'll have more of the Michigan Bigfoot Conference videos up and running. I know that, I guess, my last video, I re-uploaded it with better audio, I guess, because some mobile phones were having issues not being able to hear it. I was able to hear it fine on my phone. But, different computers, different setups, different phones. So try to make the next ones better, boosted audio. So you guys might have to turn it down, I guess, but so everyone can hear it. All right, let me get this set up and going. But yeah, we're gonna have another conference here next year. Be on the lookout for that. We're talking about it. We might actually have a couple events, maybe. I haven't decided about that. I'm trying to talk with my partner about it and, help spread the awareness. All right, give me 1 second.
All right, getting this set up for the outro. But yeah, we'll be doing some events. I don't have a date for anything yet. As soon as stuff is set up, I will let you guys know. We'll set up everything. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. My girlfriend's she's telling me I got to get going. She's great. She really allows me to do all of this stuff and helps me and it's the reason I'm able to do all this stuff actually. So she does support me, and she might not believe in Bigfoot, but she does support me and deals with my nerdiness on this subject. So aw, yeah, I love you too, baby. You need to come on here and talk about our dog man sighting, because you were in the passenger seat and seeing it. So hopefully one day she'll be on here, guys. She can collaborate as a witness, because she did see the same thing I did, and so you could see her and have her point of view talking about it. So very interesting stuff. Anyways, we'll have another live show next Saturday for sure. Saturdays are a really good night for me, seems like. Thursdays, depends on the job, really. Sometimes I don't get home early enough to do a live show, or if I scheduled it wouldn't be. I wouldn't be getting back in time. So Saturdays are the new day. Always going to have a live show on Saturdays. And maybe some other day. Just depends on what happens. So thank you guys for staying in this long, supporting the Lost Cryptids Conservatory. It means a lot, and we're definitely going to show you guys what we've been doing, and as we continue to grow and expand and go out researching more in the following years, it's going to mean a lot for all those who support us, and definitely going to be it's definitely going to be a fun, making a lot of good friends and acquaintances. And I think that I don't want to brag and boast, but it definitely seems like we're heading in a good direction with getting a lot of great evidence, being lucky, and I hopefully one day we can get that really good piece of evidence to show everyone. So that's my goal. It's what I set out to do, and it's just what I'm about. So without further ado, guys, thank you again for watching this live show. Really appreciate it, and I'll be back soon. Take it easy.
The Lost Cryptids Conservatory, where we will shatter your reality to bring you closer to the truth.